Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brad Matheny, and I'm putting together this special kind of late in the evening video. It's 7 o'clock out here in California. I know it's 10 o'clock East Coast time, but there's a lot of questions right now about the SPY cycle pattern and the fact that we're moving into this possible breakdown pattern tomorrow in a trend mode. And what a breakdown pattern looks like, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if I can find something here. This is the ES daily. So what we're looking at is a type of a breakdown. So what we would be looking for in an exhaustion breakdown pattern would be something kind of like maybe this bar here, or maybe this bar here, breaking down hard away from an exhaustion peak, or maybe this bar here. This is kind of an exhaustion breakdown, or maybe even this bar here. There's another exhaustion breakdown kind of right here, another exhaustion breakdown kind of right here. So you see, what we're looking for tomorrow is for the market to have reached a peak up here and then maybe move into a fairly large downward type of a bar, breaking a lot of expectations, retesting support, and then potentially moving back into, and let me do it here with this drawing tool, moving back into a sideways support level. Now, this is the ES chart. And the reason I'm doing this is because we're getting a little early morning activity, meaning post-market activity for tomorrow, that's already showing a bit of a breakdown. Okay. But again, this possible breakdown bar is likely going to move us into something, kind of like an exhaustion breakdown like this, or an exhaustion breakdown like this. It's going to be potentially a fairly aggressive downward trend. But as I mentioned to you earlier, and I've been mentioning to you for months, but I highlighted it just on Monday, Tuesday, that it became very evident with the RSP, the equal weighted ETF, moving strongly to the upside, as well as the transportation index moving strongly to the upside. We're starting to see a lot of aggressive broad market rally. And this is going to start to play into the fact that it's going to be buoying or supporting a market trend. So if we go back to the ES, we have to understand that we could get a big market breakdown. We may see something, opening here in this area and trending downward, maybe into this 5,635 area, maybe down into this area a bit lower, 5,624. But you need to understand that this is going to be a very short-lived, in my opinion, type of a pullback. Now I'm going to come in here to a 15-minute, and we're going to take a look at the 17th. So here's the new day, starting with a little pressure. Okay, the long and short of it, I want you to understand that we could see, and I'm just going to give you an example here on the S&P, the ES, we could see a very solid meltdown overnight, maybe into this area, then potentially moving into a breakdown throughout the day back into this 5,680, maybe even further, 5,600. But we could easily wipe out the last 2, maybe 3 days range. And that again sets us up in an area here where we could see it wiping out this lower channel down to 5,640 on the ES. So now let me try to explain to you what this would look like on the QQQ. QQQ here, moving into a range. We would be looking for, you can see how we've already had this big breakdown. Okay, we would be looking for something that reconfirms these lows. So understand this area here and this area here, if I can grab it and drag it out, is still very important to us. Okay, and the trick again here is that we would want to confirm this area, this rejection area right here, would be the next major area of concern for our potential pullback. So, in reality, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at, this area as an area of concern and then this area as a deeper low. So now if we come over here and go from the most recent tangible support area up to the most recent rejection area, our critical support area that I teach members is right in this area. So here's our critical support area, 382 to 50. This is the one that we're looking at as, let's call it major support. And the reason for this is because this is the longer trend. This is going back all the way to the beginning of June. And so now we have our intermediate support area up here. And you need to understand that this area is going to become very tangible tomorrow. Very likely we see this area touch, and we could see the markets move down into this area. So for the QQQ, I would expect that we're going to see some, and I'm going to scoot this over, shrink this, try to move this up. Okay, we're likely going to see the QQQ moving into a broad kind of a downward slope overnight, maybe opening in this 494, 493 area, and then potentially very cleanly moving into this area, and maybe on a very deep selling pressure moving down to this area. Now, because of the RSP, and because of the IYT and because of the strength that we're seeing again in the general markets, I want you to understand that more than likely we're going to find some support in this area on the QQQ right around 490. And we're going to try to come in here and base throughout the day, trying to move eventually back up into consolidation. And that's where I think we're going to be likely seeing this market move. QQQs will likely open in the 494, 495 area and move down to the 490, maybe 488 area, and then find support the following days and move into consolidation. Remember, my SPY cycle patterns, which are over here, suggests that after this big breakdown bar tomorrow, we're going to move into kind of a reversal range, the major crush counter trend pattern, and then move into consolidation. So, really, what we're kind of doing is we're mirroring these moves and we're looking for the market to maybe consolidate downward tomorrow, find support, move back up a bit the next day, consolidate, kind of like we're seeing here, and then move upward. So this is, this is the line that I drew earlier. I don't remember when, probably 2, 3 days ago. But now that we've seen this lower channel set up, now remember, I had drawn this peak here. So, let's look at the patterns. Remember when I drew these patterns? Okay, I had no idea what was going on. This was a pattern that I drew 5 days in advance of the actual pattern. When we started this, we were down over here. And I drew this blue bar, all of these blue bars, suggesting what I thought would take place going forward on the QQQ. And what we're doing is we've seen an upward trend, an upward trend, an upward trend, a bit of an upward trend that failed and rolled down, rolled back up into this last exhaustion high here, rolled back down a little bit, just like this pattern. And now we're getting into this downward move before we get the counter trend major crush. So we're looking for this type of a pattern where I've drawn these vertical lines to take place down in this area. So we're going to be looking at downward trending tomorrow, upward trending the following day, and then consolidation all the way through into our rally phase. And the same thing takes place over here on the SPY. So we're going to take a look at this when all this loads. And what we're looking at is, I'll get rid of these lines. We're looking at the same type of a setup. Try to get rid of all of these lines. The point behind this is I have not altered my analysis. What we are altering is the range of price. See, price did not come up to reach my upper expected levels. These were drawn 5, 6 days in advance. Now we're 5, 6, 7 days into my drawing of what I thought was going to happen. So understand, I drew all of these starting with this one. Here, after last week, we ended last week on this bar, and I drew this green bar here, this orange bar or pink bar here, and then this one, and then here's our major reversal, our major crush pattern. And what we're doing now, folks, is because price has shifted away from what I drew initially as an expectation, do I consider this wrong? Ask yourself a question. Do I consider this wrong? No. My expectations were for higher price and a rollover higher price over here, which is today. Tomorrow, we get the big breakdown pattern. And tomorrow, we'll likely move from about this level here down to probably this level, maybe down to this level, and maybe bounce a little towards the end of the day. But then we move into that major crush pattern, which could be a big recovery, stalling out, maybe rolling downward. Then we consolidate in this area for 3 or 4 days, and then we start to move into this upward trend channel. So, do you think I'm wrong? In my opinion, I've accurately predicted the general market trend and general direction of price very accurately from 7 days ago, and even before that, 15 or 10 days ago. So I've been doing this now for almost 4 weeks, predicting what I think is going to happen 2, 3 weeks in advance. And I'm letting my analysis stay so you can see how close I come to it. And now we're getting this breakdown. And given where the SPY is right here, I think we move into this lower consolidation range, try to build support across this channel, and then move higher. And we'll see how it plays out. But you must remember that there is a very strong underlying bullish price bias that is driving a lot of support into the market. So if we do get a big selling trend tomorrow, I want you to be very aware that we may end up seeing a very quick move to the downside. It may be something where the first 3, 4, 5 hours of the day sells off fairly aggressively, maybe into this 557, 558 area. And then we roll very strongly the next day, potentially back up here, only to channel back out and flag. And this would be setting up a very big flagging formation kind of across this area and potentially across this area here. So we'd be looking at this as a pretty big flag setup. And depending on where price is, we may end up seeing this come right across this area a bit. So again, be aware. Tomorrow is a down bar. Tomorrow is a exhaustion breakdown pattern. I do expect to see some general weakness tomorrow, at least in the first half of the day, maybe a bit longer, possibly very strongly overnight. We'll see what happens on news. But then, like I said, we're going to rotate, and then we're going to flag out and eventually break back into a bullish trend channel. And this flagging here, as I originally drew, might actually be more, like I told you earlier, maybe more along the lines of an upward flag before breaking out. So be aware that this is going to get very exciting over the next week and a half. And I really think that again, I'll show you again here before we go away. The transportation index is skyrocketing. The transportation index leads the market by at least normally 2 to 3 months minimum, sometimes maybe 5 or 6 months. But this big move right here is telling us, I mean, look at this on a daily basis. This big move is telling us that the transportation index is skyrocketing higher. And the reason it's skyrocketing higher is because traders are expecting the US economy to build strength into the end of this year and early next year. You must understand that this is predating the market going forward by at least normally 2 to 3 months. But we're here in July, do the math, August, September, October. That's basically predicting the election outcome and the fact that the economy is going to be rocking probably in November, December, January. Now, the RSP, which is the equal weight S&P 500, is skyrocketing as well. Now, what does this mean? This means it's no longer just the Mag 7 driving price valuation. Now you're seeing the entire stock market move in a consolidated broad market, broad sector rally phase. Money is being poured into all sectors of the US stock market, inching this thing higher at an accelerated rate with very strong volume here. And remember, this started on the 11th, last Thursday. So be aware that this was predating President Trump's attempted assassination, or whatever you want to call it. So there's something cooking as of last Thursday that's driving this move. Okay. And what's happening now is this has now become, if you want to think of it, like a 8-cylinder motor, maybe we were running over here on 5 or 6 cylinders. Well, you know what? Somebody just kicked in the other 3 or 2 cylinders and fed us a bunch of ether. We're now running at pretty much all cylinders. This is a big skyrocketing move showing that the general markets are very healthily in appreciation and revaluation. This is what we look for in a healthy market environment. We want to see all stocks go up, and we want to see the transportation index lead the markets by 2 to 3 months with an aggressive upward trend. So you can see, we go back here. Look at this move in the transportation index after COVID. Okay, this is a healthy reflation after a very strong downward trend. Now look over here at RSP. Let's see if we have RSP past COVID. No, we don't. Oh, we do. Here's RSP past COVID, right at the bottom of COVID. Very strong move to the upside. Very healthy general market rally that waned out right over here in 2021 and in late 2021, meaning we've been consolidating downward here. We're now breaking a little bit upward in 2023 and really starting to accelerate over here. So remember, folks, we're looking at a very, very solid upward trend, and that bias is going to be playing out in the SPY. Okay, waiting for all my, as everybody calls them, my painted chart to load. And it's because, like I said, I do a lot of research. I can probably go through and clean up a bunch of this, but I want you guys to see what I'm seeing and kind of learn to understand what I'm doing. And really, it comes down to a couple of things. I'm just watching market metrics. I'm using Fibonacci price theory. I'm using anchor bar theory. I'm using Japanese candlesticks. I'm using my SPY cycle patterns. And then in some of it, I'm using my gut instinct. I mean, how can I go out here and draw these things 3 weeks in advance and have markets kind of follow right along with them? It's because I'm pretty good at doing this. I've been doing this for a while. So we're going to see how this plays out. The reality is, tomorrow we're probably going to see a pretty solid downward move into this area, maybe a bit lower. Then we get a rally, then we get consolidation, and by about the 21st or 22nd, we're going to start to see some upward melt up that may become fairly aggressive. Okay, that's it. I'll do a new video for you tomorrow. Love all the comments, you guys. I don't think I've been called a goat so much in the last. Well, I mean, let's put it this way. I've gotten so many compliments from these videos and what I'm able to do and how many people I'm helping. It's just incredible to be able to do this. So, you know, we're gonna make some money through this. The next 4 or 5 years are gonna be an incredible opportunity for you, but you need to stay on top of this. This is a learning process. I didn't get this information in 2 days. It took me 25 years to learn what I'm doing and how to make it work. So if you want to really get the most out of this, what you're going to have to do is stick with me for a while and pay attention to what's going on and really follow and pay attention to my videos. That's what I'm going to tell you. How was I able to predict literally 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, now going into 4 weeks into advance? Ask yourself, has anybody in your life been able to accurately predict the S&P and the QQQ 4 weeks into the future? No? Well, that's because they don't have the tools and technology I have. Okay. That's it. I have the tools, I have the technology that allows me to do this, and I have the experience that allows me to piece it together and give you the best expectations I can offer, because this is really coming out of my head and out of my technology. Now, I have predictive modeling systems that can show me where things price goes, but it really is kind of a balancing act to be able to figure this stuff out. And the way I do it is I just stay on top of it all the time. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. Again, metals are moving, Bitcoin is moving, broad sector rallies taking place. That's going to set up a good solid bullish bias, possibly going into the end of the year. At least it looks like it right now. And we're going to keep doing this. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more trading days. So basically another week and a half to go before I have to decide whether I'm going to keep giving this away or not. And the long and short of it, I need to hear from you guys. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you've used this. Tell me, has it helped you? Tell me honestly, do you want to keep getting this? Is it that valuable to you in making your decision, or is it something you don't really care about? Okay, guys, talk to you later. Bye.